Councillors, I now open the Extraordinary Council meeting on the 29th of October 2024 at 7:01 p.m. Councillors, could I please call on Councillor Willington to give the acknowledgement?
I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the land of the Bidjigal and the Gadigal peoples who occupy the Sydney coast, being the traditional owners. On behalf of Randwick City Council, I acknowledge and pay my respects to the elders past and present and to Aboriginal people in attendance today.
Thank you. Could I please call on Councillor Wilson to read the prayer?
Almighty God, we humbly beseech you to bestow your blessings upon this council and to direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement of your glory and the true welfare of the people of the city of Randwick and Australia.
Amen.
Thank you, councillors. Please be seated. Thank you. It appears that we have a full house, so no need to call for apologies or leaves of absence. There are no requests to attend the meeting via audio-visual link. I go to declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. I have a declaration. Councillors, if there are any further declarations, please let me know. I have, in relation to the one item on the agenda, CS 49/24, a non-significant non-pecuniary interest. I am a volunteer patrolling and occasionally competing member of the Maroubra Surf Lifesaving Club. I do not hold any office, actively participate in the management, administration of the organisation, nor do I engage in any other activities which would give rise to any significant extent which could be considered as giving rise to a particularly strong affiliation. I will be voting on the matter. Are there any further declarations? Councillor D'Souza.
Mr Mayor, on a number of occasions I've been the guest of South Maroubra Surf Club and Maroubra Surf Club, to mention two, and Coogee as well. In saying that, I enjoy the clubs and non-significant, non-pecuniary interests, I'll be voting on the matter.
Okay, thank you, Councillor D'Souza. Councillor Magna.
I have a non-significant, non-pecuniary declaration of interest, being a member of the Clovelly Surf Lifesaving Club, and noting that it's identified as a risk in the business papers that if this development is not to proceed successfully, that could jeopardise future developments of surf clubs, including Clovelly.
Point of order.
Look, I'll hear the point of order.
My point of order is that there is nowhere in this business paper does it say that there are implications on other surf clubs whatsoever. You can't just make things up.
So, councillors, what I will actually suggest, just councillors, rather than we get in, later on in the evening, there will be a substantive debate. What I would remind all members in relation to this particular item is really just a procedural one where we can declare interests. In relation to that, what I will suggest is that we will move on in relation to it. We will hear from addresses from members of the public. Are there any further declarations? Otherwise, I'll move on. Councillor Luxford.
Non-significant, non-pecuniary. My sons and I were my sons were members at Maroubra Surf Club, and I ran the barbecue there for 15 years, raising significant funds for the club.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers? There being no further declarations, we'll now go to addresses of council by members of the public. I will read the chairperson's announcement. In respect of the Privacy and Personal Information Protection Act, members of the public are advised that the proceedings of this meeting will be recorded for the purposes of clause 520 to 523 of Council's Code of Meeting Practice. Audio-video recording of meetings is prohibited without express permission. A person may be expelled from a meeting for using or having used an audio-video recorder without the express authority of council. I now move to the announcement of speakers. All members of the public addressing tonight's meeting have a maximum of 4 minutes in which to put forward their case, with no extensions available. Presenters will be stopped when the 4 minutes has expired. Councillors may ask questions of presenters at the end of each public submission. Our first speaker on the matter, CS 49/24, 2023/24 is Mr. Phil Carter, the President of Maroubra Surf Lifesaving Club. Mr. Carter.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I understand there are some new councillors at the table, as well as some people that might not be familiar with Maroubra Surf Lifesaving Club. So I'd just like to give you the context for the business paper. So the club was established in 1906. Today it's about 1,350 members. About half of those are youth, and we're growing quickly. Originally, we were accommodated in a 3x3 yard corrugated tin shed. The current building was established in 1933, substantially larger than the old shed, but we've got to the stage where we've outgrown that now. The fabric of the building is decaying, and we really are limited in terms of operations and future growth with the building. So we started the process of lobbying council to bring it forward on the agenda in 2021. And it was in 2022 that there was a knockdown rebuild proposal brought to council. Again, we're very grateful for that interaction, but we realised that we were unable to fund as a piecemeal project, as the club has been rebuilt in the past, and it now needed a major refurbishment. So the members have engaged fully with the council executive. They're excited about this project. They've been consulted very broad, on a very broad base about the consequences, the design and the needs moving forward. And they're heartened by the level of engagement from the council executive. So they're cautious because they're also living in the same community, watching other building projects go by and understand the expenditure involved and the acceleration of input costs to these projects in recent years. So they're mindful of those things. But they're very committed to the project and see it as essential to their service to the community. How do they see their service to the community? They don't count it in hours. They count it really in their service to the people that attend the beach. And they assisted over 70 people in rescues last year, go home to families, over 240 people in serious first aids, and 1,800 people were prevented from getting into those situations and needing their assistance. That's how they think about it. They're thinking about it as a location to harness that activity and grow that activity. Why we ask for the extension for funding now is the project has grown. It's grown because of the input costs I mentioned and because of the fullness of the design process. When the surf club first initiated, they had much smaller ambitions. However, the ambitions were proven to be non-economic early on, and that's why the process was changed to the knockdown rebuild. So much of the planning is around a more fulsome process which enables building to accommodate future growth and future operational needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Are there any questions of the Speaker? I have a hand up from Councillor Rosenfeld. Councillor Rosenfeld.
Yeah, thanks, Phil, for coming in. Do you believe that the project will blow out further than 15 million by the time it's completed?
I'm not sure if I'm being asked as a member of the public or as in what capacity are you asking me?
Yeah, well, basically, as the president of the club, do you believe that the 15 million will, by the end of the project, whether that will there'll be enough that those are enough funds within the 15 million to complete the project, or you'll need even more on top of that?
We believe that the $15 million addresses the amount required by the quantity survey, which has been driven by the plans developed by the club in conjunction with the council. So we believe, yes, it does address that. We understand there'll be compromise from the surf club in order to meet that budget. But we also understand that we'll be applying to other granting bodies, two granting bodies to make up shortfall. So, yes, but we're reliant on the quantity survey driven by the experts.
Thank you. Are there any further questions of the Speaker? There being no further questions, thank you very much, Mr. Carter. Thank you. The addresses from the public now being concluded, I'll move to the one item of business on the agenda, CS49/24 Maroubra Surf Lifesaving Club. Do I have a mover? Moved Councillor Magna, seconded Councillor D'Souza. Councillor Magna, could you please outline what it is that you are moving?
I rise in support of the recommendation from the council officers. As elected representatives of the community, we have a clear obligation to, under the Local Government Act, as we've heard through our induction process recently, to develop capital works projects that are in service of the community. We've also heard from our council officers in the briefings that they've undertaken due diligence in relation to the construction costs. They've engaged professional project management professionals. They've answered our detailed questions about the business case, and I believe the business case is a compelling one. This is exactly the type of project that the local community expects that its local council get behind. So I am very pleased that the council has done work apparently over the last couple of years in developing this business case. We're all aware that construction costs have gone up. The CPI for building and construction costs, I believe, has peaked at about 13% above the general CPI. It's no secret that there's been an increasing construction costs, particularly hitting Sydney, and that's been factored in by our council officers. But this project is about more than dollars. It's about the value that it provides to the community. The speaker from Maroubra Surf Club would be familiar, I'm sure, with the Deloitte Access Economics report recently that showed that for every dollar that is spent on community facilities like Surf Life Saving Clubs, there is a benefit to the community of $21. So we have a duty as elected officials. The benefits are very clear. The benefits in terms of community participation, the youth participation, I think, is something that we should be particularly looking to for inspiration. We are looking for opportunities for our community to come together, and Surf Life Saving Clubs provide a place that unites people of all ages, of all backgrounds, not only in doing the core service of saving lives and keeping our beaches safe, but bringing our community, our diverse community together. And for those reasons, particularly the well-informed decisions that have been made and the recommendations from our council officers, the questions that we've had the opportunity to ask, the process that has been implemented for project management, I commend this motion to the council.
Councillor D'Souza is the seconder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, I rise today to speak on a matter of great importance to our community. Friends, we all want to change the world, but in the end, it is the world that changes us. Many surf clubs are the nurturing grounds for our future leaders and sporting champions. Many of these young people grow up to lead, change and build a better world. Needless to say, surf life-saving clubs like Maroubra offer opportunities, training and education to young people to become better citizens of the world. Surf life-saving clubs instill in our youth the desire to selflessly serve society as volunteers and to save and protect lives. They are important and are an integral part of the coastal lifestyle of Randwick City and Randwick residents. That is why Randwick Council must fund and co-partner surf life-saving clubs in our area, in our local government area, in the protection and safety of our community. Many surf clubs are at the heart and soul of our local communities, and they deliver more than just an on-beach safety service. Maroubra Lifesaving Club, like the other lifesaving clubs in our area, after training They offer training, education, recreation, a place to socialise and give people a sense of purpose and belonging. When I was the Mayor of Randwick, I was involved in a mega project at Coogee Beach to build a much needed underground facility for the Coogee Lifesaving Club and our community. We needed many new amenities and storage facilities for the Lifesaving Club and the community. The project was literally groundbreaking. Today, the finished project is an example to many of what can be achieved when community and council work together. This project, Mr. Mayor, at the Maroubra Lifesaving Club is similar in need, but smaller in scale. It's a great opportunity to give an equitable outcome to the Maroubra community, maybe not of the macro scale of Coogee, but a similar facility offering similar amenities and services. After visiting the Maroubra Surf Lifesaving Club, it becomes obvious to any fair-minded person this club is badly in need of refurbishment or replacement. And that is why I fully support Council's report to demolish and rebuild this club. On the 25th of October, on World Teachers' Day, I was quoted as saying, "One book, one pen, one child, one teacher can change the world." Tonight I say, one club, one board, one young lifesaver and one surf club mentor can change the world. Mr. Mayor, I fully support the rebuild of Maroubra Surf Lifesaving Club at the estimated cost and budgeting price of $15 million. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councillors, are there any further speakers? There is Councillor Burst. Councillor Burst has an amendment. Could you please outline your amendment? I'll then call for a seconder.
Dave, that I'd like to see that as the new B, and move B down to C. Oh, yes, you're already writing that. Okay. So effectively, A remains, B remains as a C, and then the D down the bottom becomes the B. If that makes sense. Just wait till Dave gets that. So the amendment I'm proposing is that
Councillor Rosenfeld is the seconder.
Part B is that we have a cap that Randwick Council budget allocations is to a $9.34 million. As per the revised 2024 funding strategy, I'm all in support of this surf club, and we need to give them the extra funds to do their work. But it's also important that any costs above that 9.34 million, this amount should come from state and federal funding, government funding grants. We've heard in briefings that the federal government has got funds available from between $5 to $50 million. So if we can assume that we'll get a minimum of $5 million from the federal government, 1 or 2 from the state government, we're well over the $15 million mark. But it also keeps transparency in the project because we don't want a budget blowout as well. We don't want Randwick to pay that price because that will affect future projects, future surf clubs. We want Coogee Surf Club. We want Clay Valley Surf Club and South Maroubra Surf Club to get their updates to occur. So it's important that we are fiscal and have strong governance in controlling the money that we spend. And we know we've got grants available, so we just need to push those grants. But keep a cap on the spending from Randwick City Council, which means effectively the 9.34 million is 60% of the cost of the overall cost of the project, because in the initial reports it was over 40% of the costs were going to be sought from state and federal funding. Yes, I'm a strong supporter of surf clubs. I think the motion speaks for itself. I think that the people of Randwick would like us to show fiscal control for any projects that we do. And this is a way of doing it and ensuring that we get we can have our cake and eat it as well. So that's the benefit of doing this. I'm a strong supporter of surf clubs. I've supported surf clubs for a long time, not just myself, but through my brother. My brother's been involved in surf lifesaving for over 45 years. And I've always been very proud of what he's done as a volunteer. The amounts of Saturdays and Sundays he'd come home with sunburn all over his face, but he was out there saving lives and making a difference. And that's what our surf lifesavers across New South Wales and across Australia do, day in, day out. So I'm a strong supporter of surf lifesaving, and I certainly want this project to go ahead. There was never a point where it was not going to go ahead. It was just a matter of we needed more clarity. That's why we asked for a briefing, because there was no clarity of the underlying budget and the funding. And so this was an opportunity for us. The extraordinary meeting on Tuesday night was the extraordinary meeting tonight, and the briefing we had the other night was about getting clarity, because we're here to represent the whole of Randwick City community, and surf lifesaving is a big component of that. So I hope that my fellow councillors will support transparency in our operations, and I'm really saying what's already been said, but the only thing I'm doing different is, instead of it being in a business case, it's actually a resolution. It's a strong resolution that makes sure that we are able to ensure that the council's protected, but the council's looking after the council interests, which is also the surf club interests. So we're looking after everybody's interests. It's a win-win for everybody. Thank you.
I'll actually go to Councillor Rosenfeld as the seconder of the amendment, then to Councillor Gordon.
Okay, I'm going to start with a question, and then I'll put some comments in. Firstly, a question through the Mayor, the relevant officer. When will councillors see final plans for the rebuild?
Through to the relevant officer.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr. Mayor, the report that was provided to Council in the extraordinary business paper does note that recommendation D of the original resolution, that a subsequent report will come back to Council with a final concept plan. So that's the final concept drawings in early 2025.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, I am a great supporter of surf clubs, and I voted for funding several times for both the Maroubra Surf Club and South Maroubra Surf Club. I've also voted in favour of the Maroubra Surf Club project in 2022 when the funding requirement was listed as 10 million. I've also attended many events at both Maroubra and South Maroubra Surf Club over the last 3 years in order to support these clubs and the community service they provide. I have also lived in Maroubra for 15 and a half years and fully see the benefit these surf clubs do offer to the community. As such, I'm a great believer in allocating monies to these clubs and will support the 15 million funding based on the amendment that Councillor Burst laid out. I will still need to acknowledge that we have seen a large uplift in the funding requirement here at 50%. I'm concerned, as per the question I asked the President earlier, that we will see an increase above $15 million by the time the project is due for completion. I hope it won't, but I am concerned, so I'm going to put that on the record. We need to remember that this is both ratepayers' money, which comes from council grants, and taxpayers' money from the state and federal grants. As I spelled out at the beginning of the year, at the very first meeting, we have a cost of living crisis, and we need to keep rates under control, as the Randwick Liberals promised to the electorate at the recent local government elections. That's why we were concerned about the uplift. That's why we asked for the extra briefing before asking for another meeting to deliberate, because this is ratepayers' money and taxpayers' money in the grants, and we are in a cost of living crisis. People are doing it tough, and paying significantly higher rate bills is not something we really want to see. So we just need to see that we're happy to support the increase, but we just want to see to get a little bit more further information on it. I'm also upset that Councillor Hamilton, the Liberal caucus leader, received a threatening phone call from the governor of another surf club in our LGA after the council October ordinary meeting. At this meeting, we merely asked for a deferral and a briefing. Last Tuesday, we all heard it. The phone call contained accusations that the Liberals are against funding of CERT clubs carte blanche. I also received a phone call from Phil Carter later that evening, or later that day, basically saying that he was concerned that the Liberals are reneging on the funding of CERT clubs. And I spoke to Phil and they said, all we merely asked for, once you see the minutes, merely the minutes went up, is for a deferral and briefing. I am disappointed that the Labor Party participated in the misinformation, and that was quite disappointing, and I regret that happened.
Point of order.
Sorry, there's a point of order. I actually heard Councillor Luxford first.
Those last remarks there that I can't even think now, Rosenfeld said, I would like those retracted because I, as a member of the Labor Party, did not make any comments or vote against surf clubs.
Yeah. So can I just, prior to that, look, I certainly uphold the point of order. I would also like to caution councillors that councillors are not covered by privilege, and what is said in here, you know, may open us up to potential risk in relation to that. Moreover, the naming of an identification of individuals in relation to that without the ability to substantively defend themselves in relation to this, I would argue doesn't afford an individual the fairness to be able to defend themselves in relation to that. I won't go into the nature of the specific in relation, but I'd like to caution all councillors in relation to it that we are bound by a code of conduct in relation to this, as well as the fact that we are not in any way covered by privilege. But that is a general application, but I do certainly uphold the point of order from Councillor Luxford.
Okay, I'll retract the last point, and that's all I really have to say.
I had then a hand up from Councillor Gordon.
Point of order. Does Councillor Magner accept the amendment? If you want to ask.
Councillor Magnan does not accept the amendment. Councillor Gordon.
Mr. Mayor, question through to the relevant officer. Does the recommendation as written in the business paper commit council to any expenditure at this point?
Thank you. Through to the relevant officer.
Sorry, through yourself, Mr. Mayor. The recommendation in the business paper, so not the amendment, does not commit council nor change the 24-25 operational budget as it currently stands.
Thank you. I then saw Councillor, just so I can confirm, I actually saw Councillor Martin, then I'll go to Councillor Hamilton. Are there any further speakers? Okay, and then Councillor said. So I'll go Councillor Martin, Hamilton said.
Thank you. If I may, I would like to ask a couple of questions and then provide some commentary as well, or make some comments. Through to the relevant officer, can we see the exact details of what is required for grant funding?
Through to the relevant officer.
Through yourself, Mr. Mayor, yes.
Beg your pardon, I didn't hear that.
Director of City Services.
Just responded through yourself, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Martin. Yes, you may see the grant application.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I was sidetracked. Okay, if we choose to do our own research, is there a link on a web page that might give us more detail about these grants? Like, for example, a timeline of when grants need to be applied for these types of projects, and what types of outside funding is available? And my last question is, I think it was mentioned previously that these grants are applied for at different stages of the project. Is that correct?
Through to the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr. Mayor. So we are in the position at the moment, council officers are currently filling out the grant application, for the two grants that are reported in the page 5 of the extraordinary business paper. The first grant being the Surf Club Facility Program. That deadline, I believe, is the 11th of November, from memory. It's 11th. The 11th, sorry, of November. The second one is slightly later than that, but they both need to be applied for in the current phase of the project.
Thank you. Following on from that question, I would just like to say a couple of things. Firstly, I'd like to thank the council staff for providing the extra briefing on this project, and it's helped me greatly. As a first-time councillor, at her first meeting, looking at her first major project, there was some more information that I needed to know. At the end of the day, we have a responsibility to ratepayers and taxpayers to have a proper understanding of where their money is being spent. So thank you to council staff. Secondly, for the sake of a simple deferment to gain some more information, can I just say how disappointed I am in the alleged behaviour that has been mentioned here tonight that has occurred in the past week. I feel these actions have actually muddied the waters on this project. As a first-time councillor, and there are 5 of us here, I wonder, is this the type of behaviour I have to look forward to? I understand people will not always agree with council decisions, but matters arising must always be dealt with in a proper manner. And finally, I'd like to say, I've been a member of the local surf club for over 20 years. I have a blazer for service to my club, for which I'm very proud. It was achieved not by only just patrolling the beach for many, many hours and many, many years, but also through committee work, fundraising, organising events and competing for my club, winning many state and Australian medals. I have possibly done more hours on the beach than any other councillor in this room. So if anyone is pro-surf club on this council, it is me. So to hear a statement this week that Liberal councillors have stopped all funding to surf clubs, or we don't like surf clubs, is beyond belief. The Liberal Party has always supported surf clubs, and tonight is no different. Thank you.
Well said.
Councillor Hamilton.
So in 2022, I voted in favour of a 10 million allocation to the project because I believed that, as I do now, that Maroubra will benefit greatly from a new surf club. Liberals on this council, past and present, including myself, have always given 100% support to all of our surf clubs, and I have a voting record that stands as a testament to that, dating back to 2017. So too have our state Liberal colleagues who in recent years provided money for renovations to Clovelly, Coogee Surf Club and money to rebuild the rescue boat base at Malabar and $100,000 to the Fallen Lifesavers Monument. So that wouldn't have happened without the Liberal state government. Last month, in front of the Minister for Local Government, everyone around this table, including yourself sitting at the head of the table, swore in front of him that an oath to undertake the duties of a councillor in the best interest of the people of Randwick. And that's exactly what we plan to do. A vitally important part of a councillor's role is scrutinising council's expenditure. It's not new. This is not something that we've just decided to make up. This happens all the time, and so it should. Especially so when a council project increases by 50%. It makes us accountable and it forces us to ask questions. Trying to prevent councillors from being fully briefed on the project and its $5 million cost blowout is truly shameful, thuggish behaviour on the part of the Mayor, and his actions have discredited this council and potentially damaged the project in its entirety.
Point of order.
Councillor Veitch.
The councillor has made some incredibly inappropriate comments about the Mayor, as this councillor has done for a very long period of time now, whoever's sitting in that seat.
No, point of order. Stay in the moment.
no,
Stay in the moment.
Councillor Hamilton.
Don't
Councillor Burst, thank you.
Order.
Councillor Burst,
Don't go back
Councillor
in time.
Hamilton, thank you. I will hear Councillor Veach in
Stop
silence,
yelling.
as I afford you when you make your points of orders to be heard in silence. Councillor Veach, please continue.
The councillor referred to yourself as engaging in thuggish behaviour. There's no substantiation to this, and in all honesty, we've had meeting after meeting after meeting over this last 12 months, heard these kind of accusations
Point of
flying
order.
around.
Thank you. Councillor...
That is just a matter of public record.
Councillor...
That is my point of order.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Councillors, if they have an issue in relation to conduct, have a process in order to do that. It is via the Code of Conduct process. It is not to be raised in open session in relation to that. And I would further add that 9.1 of the Council Code of Conduct states that allegations in relation to that or potential codes of potential code of conduct in relation is itself a potential breach. I will leave it to all councillors as a matter as to how they conduct themselves in relation to this. What I would suggest, councillors, is that we treat each other with respect in relation to it. I will uphold the point of order, and more importantly, that all comments relate to the substantive motion or the substantive amendment we have in front of us, and then following that, the motion after that. So if there are any further speakers on the matter, Councillor Hamilton, can I confirm that you've concluded your remarks? Okay, are there any further speakers? I apologise. Councillor Said.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just going to ask a couple of questions. When is it expected to actually be started?
Through to the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr. Mayor, we'd like, if possible, to commence construction probably towards the end of 12 months, so closer to end of 2025, moving into 2026 if possible.
Councillor Sid.
Just a further question. I only ask because in resourcing strategy, so does it start and then it gets resourced the next year as it's being built? Is that how the 25-26 part works? Because I'll answer the question, I'll ask why I'm asking.
Okay, through to the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr. Mayor, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So if it's being funded through whilst it's getting built, my question is, because if we take the resolution or the amendment of capping it, and we start building and the grant is already found at a certain amount, my only fear is that if we use language like cap and the grant has been asked for, and then while we're building it, costs do go up. I mean, that's a fact of life. What would happen then?
Through to the relevant officer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, we would need to bring back a report to council.
Okay, Councillor Said, do you have any further comments or questions? No, I have a hand up from Councillor Hay. Councillor Hay.
Thank you. I've got three questions. Firstly, through the matter of the relevant officer, are the plans that we were given final concept design or the draft?
Through to the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr. Mayor, the plans that were presented to council in the last council meeting were the draft concept, just to give council the understanding of the position the project's in. The final draft will be reported back to council in early 2025 should the revised funding strategy proceed for a $15 million project, so we can finalise the concepts and represent to council before going to the community.
And to follow up that question, does Surf Life Saving New South Wales need draft concept designs or final concept designs to accept our grant application?
Through to the Director of City Services.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr. Mayor, the designs as they currently stand and was presented to council in a position that we can submit with a grant application. Any further amendments to what was presented to council will be a refinement of that existing design and a quantity survey that would be attached to that.
Thank you. And my third question, there has been rumours that they're not backing this project would financially impact other clubs. Is there anything in this business paper or anything in any way related that, if whether or not we support this plan, that it will impact Clovelly, Coogee, South Maroubra Surf Life Saving Clubs?
Through to the General Manager.
Thanks, Mayor. No, there's nothing in this particular business paper for council regarding future clubs. We're just talking about Maroubra Surf Club at the moment. There were in the risk section of the business paper some identified about the implementation of the project and lessons learned from the particular project, which then referred to South Maroubra and Clovelly Surf Clubs.
Thank you. Councillor Hay.
Just a moment. Implemented in the project planning. So ultimately, when I look at that, I see what operational risks are there that we would of course learn lessons when we're building this club. If we were to do further upgrades to Clovelly and Maroubra Surf Life Saving Club, that doesn't mean that we're jeopardising the funding. I found a lot of the rhetoric surrounding this as though we were directly impacting the clubs to be divisive, and I feel it's put a lot of pressure on councillors, particularly first-time councillors, in regarding coming to to not fully be able to do their due diligence and to block us from appropriately assessing the project. Now that that's been said, I'd like to thank everyone for their time and answers over the past week. And there were pages missing from the original concept plan that we were given, and now they've been given to us. And we've had some reservations about the financial commitment that's been that we're making. Dramatically increasing our financial commitment by $5 million is a major project. It is a massive part of our budget, and it's altogether well and good that we have assessed that and that we are hopefully moving forward. The $9.34 million figure that's been put in this amendment by Councillor Burst, that comes directly from page 6, table 3. It says that over a 6-year period, we will have a rolling total of $9.34 million. It's a very important thing that we try to stick to a budget, we protect ratepayer money, and that we do look for grants from Surf Life Saving New South Wales, federal and state governments to try and share the cost and keep and deliver as much benefit as we can to council without financially impairing the long-term budget of the council and our long-term operations. So I urge everyone to support this amendment.
There being no further speakers on the amendment, Councillor Wellington.
I'd just like to ask a question.
Through to the, yep.
Through to the relevant officer. It was my understanding, I'd like clarification, that in order to apply for the federal grant, the proposed spend on this project needed to be at the 15 million mark. Is that correct?
Through to the Director of City Services.
Through yourself, Mr Mayor, that is correct.
And my further remark, therefore, is that in order to apply for the grants, which other councillors are so rightly in favour of us doing, we are caught in a bit of a bind if we don't approve the the proposal as put by council. And I believe that that's what we should do, and therefore I speak against this amendment on very practical. I can't. Well, all right, give me a break.
So the council will be heard in silence. Thank you.
What my point is that if we were to consider seriously voting for the amendment, it will put council in a very difficult position in terms of applying for the grant, the federal grant. Thank you. Thank you, Noel. Thank you, Councillor De Souza.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wellington. There being no further speakers, I'll now put the amendment.
I'd just like to close first.
You don't close on an amendment, Councillor Burst. Thank you. There being no further speakers, thank you. There being no further speakers, I will now put the amendment. All those in favour of the amendment moved Burst, Rosenfeld, please raise your hand. All those in favour? I have Councillor Hamilton, Hay, Rosenfeld, Martin and Burst. All those against? I have Councillor Willington, Veach, Magna, Luxford, Gordon, Asgari, Wilson, Said and D'Souza and the Mayor. I declare the amendment lost. We now move to the substantive debate on the motion, which is as moved on the business paper. Are there any further speakers? There being no further speakers on the... Okay, so Councillor can I confirm, Councillor Burst, have you spoken on substantive debate already? I don't believe you have. No, Councillor Burst, please go.
Well, I'm going to wing it this one, aren't I? I was just disappointed with what's happened over the last week. I just think it's very divisive when people go around telling untruths, which are actually lies. And then people run with those, and then there's talk of Zoom meetings, and and the Liberal councillors and the Greens councillors are against surf clubs. It's disgusting. All I'm saying is that if people would have looked at the meeting, listened to the commentary of the meeting the other night, they would have had their information. Instead, they listened to untruths and lies from other people rather than listening to the documents from our last council meeting, which were very clear that we only wanted more information about this project. We weren't giving all the details about the project. It was incomplete, and we needed to have a briefing to get more information about this project. Now, anybody that's responsible in any senior position, whether you're a president of a club, a CEO of a state organisation or a GM, you will always need to look at due diligence and governance. And if we fail in that aspect, we shouldn't be in this room, and we shouldn't try to be elected as councillors, because then we're failing in our duties. So to do that is being responsible, but it was never about stopping the surf club. It was always got to go ahead. It's a horrible club. It needs to be rebuilt. It needs to be done over, because it's just the toilets are horrible, the showers are horrible. I feel sad for the volunteers that have to work. That are volunteers. They're doing it for free. Even our learned mayor there. It must be horrible if you haven't gone to the toilet there or going for a shower. So I'm happy that we're going to have a new facility. But we need to do it in a proper fiscal way, because if we don't, the fallout of that not being fiscal is that then Clovelly doesn't get funding, Coogee can't get funding, and neither does South Maroubra, because there won't be any funds available. So we need to be smart about how we spend our money, but we need to make sure we've got money for everybody and get grants for everybody. So we need to push the federal government. We need to put Matt Thistlethwaite. If Matt's going to be down there having a shower, he needs to put some funding behind it. If Michael Daly is going to be down there having a beer, well, then he maybe needs to put a couple of mil behind it as well. And if we do 2 mil from Daly, 5 or 6 from Thistlethwaite, a couple from our learned CEO over there, we're going to be up at about 18 or 20 mil, which means we've got a contingency plan now to cover this. But it also means we're not going to impact the possible build of any other surf club. We're now going to have funds available from them. So that's why it's impossible. That's why it's responsible to do this. So that's all I've really got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. There being no further speakers, Councillor Magna to close.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very briefly, I think we've all been enriched by this experience in one way or another. We've benefited from the further scrutiny that this proposal has been put to. All councillors have now had a thorough opportunity to express their views and for those to be noted and recorded. But ultimately, this project is about bringing our community together and serving our community in the way that those that elected us expect us to do. We will provide, it does provide value for money for ratepayers. We will, the council officers will continue to work cooperatively with other government agencies. The amendment would hamstring the council from being able to do its work, as has come out very clearly from this debate. So I think that we should let our council officers get on with this very exciting project, and I look forward to seeing future developments in that regard being brought back to this council. I commend the motion.
Thank you. Okay, there's been a request for a division. All those in favour of the motion as moved by Councillor Magna? Okay, I have Councillor Hamilton, Councillor Wellington, Councillor Magna, Councillor Veach, Councillor Hay, Luxford, Gordon. Actually, I believe it's unanimous. Beg your pardon? No, I didn't. Anyway, there being no further business, I declare the meeting closed at 7:51 p.m. Thank you, councillors. Thank you. Thank you.